What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and I had to break this topic out into its own video because of just how absurd it is. I talked on Saturday a little bit about the Witcher TV series getting even more woke. I did a video or a segment on a show a week or two back about how the the writer's room for the Witcher TV show would be is exceedingly woke on things like immigration and things like that. But now, Ciri's gotten blacked. That's right. There's been a leak on whom they want to hire to play one of the most iconic characters in the series. And they want it to be a teenage black or Asian character. And it's pretty interesting. I want to go through, of course, what this means now, because when social justice folks do this type of thing, and make no mistake about it, this is a calculated, forced diversity move. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind. It goes against, in this case specifically, already pre-established lore, so it looks like exactly what it is. It pisses off existing fans, and it's just another license that gets stolen and completely destroyed by ideologues. This show will be a colossal failure because it will fail to draw in the core Witcher fans for a lot of reasons, and then it gives social justice leaning authors, writers, activists a reason to write the articles that they want, because their entire point is that if you don't like this, okay, you're a racist. That is their point. That is their narrative. Look, like it or you're a racist. And that is, of course, exceedingly annoying. It's not true for a number of reasons, and we've already seen the attacks start with Forbes now publishing an article about, jerks, racists, and to share a little bit more about the lore. Okay, and I have probably 50 different emails like this. I'm not as invested in the Witcher lore, but I am invested in protecting what the fandom seeks their escapism from, whether it be video games, tabletop games, things like that. Looks like Ciri goes woke. Let me explain why this is not cool. This is not about racism. This is exactly what I mean. Like, these articles put everyone on the defensive. You don't get to just have an opinion. Despite what every single SJW on Earth will try to transcend, The Witcher is a series of Polish books, and a setting is based in Eastern European folklore and mythology. While not Polish, I'm Bulgarian. I've always kept these series in a special place in my heart, since they were one of the few truly stellar pieces of media that I could relate to. The book and games were well produced and badass, and there are only places where I could find the elements from my culture, and way characters act and speak has always felt right. So the problem here is about inclusion. Actually, it's about my inclusion. By making Ciri black, they are alienating beloved character from our pop culture just to cater to an oversaturated market of fantasy and superheroes overseas. It isn't right, and many of us feel robbed of the one few popular pieces of media that are truly Eastern European. I agree. They're taking a main and beloved character out of its setting. There were no black people in medieval Poland, so if Ciri is suddenly black, they will need to provide a lore reason for it, which will separate her from her origins in the books and games. Many of us are not okay with this, and I personally lost all interest in ever watching the series. I totally understand and respect that. And just like I mentioned, we see the articles coming out yesterday on Forbes. A sadly predictable storm approaches as Netflix The Witcher looks to cast a non-white Ciri. A couple of months ago, I wrote an article on how I was worried that Netflix's The Witcher series seemed destined to attract an ugly sort of controversy. Why? Why did you think that? If the eventual realization of the characters and world did not match exactly what every fan of CD Projekt Red's games had in mind, this issue would be amplified given the show has a woman showrunner, Lauren S. Hisrich. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. People don't give a fuck what sex the show. Look, the showrunner could have been a non-binary otherkin furry, but if the show was true to its lore and paid at least some fan service, I guarantee nobody would care. But because you have a critique, it's because you're a bigot. Remember that. A casting of Geralt recently came and went without any real issues, with Henry Cavill as an A-list pick confusing some, but no one seemed particularly upset about that. But now another casting issue is brewing, and I'm worried it will become very ugly. According to a recently found casting note, not publicly accessible, except everybody's seen it, Netflix Witcher series is looking for a 16 or 15-year-old Black Asian minority ethnic girl who can play down to 13 or 14. The role is for Ciri, the whitest girl of all time in the games, and described as white in the books as well. Full stop, right? I mean, should we have a white Black Panther just because? Black Panther is black. Ciri is white. What's wrong with that? We are looking for an extraordinary young talent to lead, by the way, this series. She should be brave-hearted and must have something truly special about her. Hiswick previously said that the show would include a diverse cast, of course, trying to push back against the trope that fantasy can't have non-white characters because of historical accuracy. No, fantasy can. The Witcher can't. Why is this so fucking difficult to understand? They're being purposely dishonest. And this is the shit that really boils my piss. Okay? No. Nobody has a problem with fantasy and ethnicity. What people have a problem with is co-opting a beloved existing storyline and then crowbarring it in. Why don't you just write your own story? Oh, that's right. That takes creativity that clearly you're admitting you don't have. If you want to have an amazing sci-fi character full of BAMEs or sci-fi story, write it. Write the damn thing. Have a story about them all time traveling back to the 1500s, and that's how they got there. How hard would that be? But you're taking The Witcher and forcing it on an existing fandom. This show will fail miserably. And the original author has no issue at all with the world being diverse. Of course he doesn't. Even if he did, he couldn't say it. He would be ostracized he would be unpersoned immediately. I'm not saying I know what's in his head. I'm just saying I know what would happen to him if he said he had a problem with it. Some fans, many in the original Reset Era thread where this was discovered, are supportive of the idea. Of course, Reset Era is an SJW video. It's an SJW first, video game second forum. So of course they were supportive. It's the biggest hug box on the internet. Saying that as long as she has white hair and an eventual scar, it shouldn't really matter. But others, the usual crowd. What do they mean by usual crowd? What do they mean? What do they mean about usual crowd? Let's see. What's wrong? Reddit? It's absurd. It reeks of racism. I hate this trend where everything nowadays must be ethnically diversified, even though it shouldn't be, because it goes against the characters as they've been described in the series. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with having that opinion? shall we saw, are ranting about diverging from source material and the game's Polish heritage. So what's wrong with that? My concern here is absolutely not for series whiteness, the sanctity of whiteness. But I think it would be cool to see a black or Asians here. Why? You say because why not? Okay, why? Write your own characters. Blaze your own trail. Stop trying to co-opt existing stuff and force it in. It doesn't work. I think it'd be cool, but I'm instead worried about the young actress who will land the part, who will no doubt be the subject of untold amount of harassment. We have seen many, many, many cases of actors and actresses, usually minorities, providing no evidence, right? This is on Forbes. No evidence. You're talking about Kelly Marie Tran, who said she left Instagram because, it was too much pressure, because she felt like she had to keep posting to keep the fans happy. And Stranger Things, Millie Bobby Brown. Again, a single, a nice little set of screenshots or some evidence might be nice, but, you can't be bothered with that. I can only imagine the hate that a certain small but ruthless segment of the gaming populace is going to hurl towards this young girl when she's actually cast. I hope she's protected. I hope she's prepared by those who are casting her to expect this. I definitely do not believe that Netflix should cast a white series just to head off some of this. First of all, how about you hire the best person for the job? You're literally putting out a racist job listing. You're saying, we want this ethnicity. Okay? You can't have it both ways. And I'm not deeply invested in the lore, but I am deeply invested in the fandom, in protecting people's rights to have an opinion without being called terrible things. This character is not a BAME. She's white, and that's okay. It doesn't make you a racist to not like that, because this is an established character in books and in video games with established lineage and storyline and lore, and you're changing it for simple optics. I mean, if you believe for 1 second that these people aren't pushing an ideology, here's a writer on the show, right? Let's just take a look at their Twitter feed. By the way, I'm blocked by this person. Never even interacted with them, but I'm pre-blocked. I wonder why that is. Okay, you make sure that everyone knows you play Spider-Man. Congratulations. Oh, look at that. Spider-Man's got gay pride. Okay, well that's interesting. Let's see. Tweeting about Trump. Another Spider-Man tweet. Tweeting about Trump. Global warming. Retweeting Gail Simone, one of the most vile women in comics. Oh, there's finally an article about the show you're working on. Okay, well, that's good, but it's retweeting somebody else's word. Okay. I don't care about Henry Cavill as Witcher, by the way. So, I mean, this person tweeting a feminism article. I mean, this is just in the last couple of days, all right? This person is obviously a far-left ideologue. Everybody on this writing cast appears to be of the same mindset, at least publicly. They've got no lore reason to do this, so it's absolutely your right as a fan of Witcher to be upset, and that you should never feel like you can't voice that. And you know what? The best thing you can do, don't watch the show. Don't binge it. Don't even be tempted. Because the more times that we turn our backs on these types of things, the fewer times they're going to happen. And again, I can't be more clear. Don't care about any ethnicity in any sci-fi. I've never believed that my whole life. I've never believed that based on the color of your skin, you can't be around in the Middle Ages, but you've got to acknowledge it, and you've got to write lore around it. You can't just take an existing path and apply a different coat of paint to it. And fuck you for calling everyone a racist who disagrees with you. Their opinions are valid. How come you can't back yours up with anything but more diversity?